Hey everybody, this is Troy over at Uncomfortable Truths. Thanks for checking me out. So another day and we have another instance of Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli parliament doing the unthinkable and making it their standard operating procedure and part of their policy, because that's what they do now, guys. So let's go ahead and take a look at this article from the Intercept. All right, Jessica Washington with the Intercept writes, Israeli parliament votes for making apartheid official. Fetterman, I haven't been following it. Israel's parliament voted in favor of annexing the West Bank. Other Democrats interviewed by the Intercept condemned the move. When Israel's parliament voted overwhelmingly in favor of dropping any pretense that it wasn't an apartheid state, some of the Jewish state's most ardent American defenders couldn't even be bothered to pay attention. I haven't been following it closely, said Senator John Fetterman, who's made defending Israel a key part of his political career. And why is that? Why is it that some of these Democrats can kind of wishy-washy say, yeah, I don't really like what's going on with Israel, but they're still going to turn around and support it, just like AOC does, just like all of the Democrats do. And the reason why is because the APAC lobby has a chokehold on American politics. Israel controls America at this point, and you can see it with Donald Trump, who Donald Trump pretty much bows down to doing whatever Netanyahu wants. That is because at this point, the United States is a complete client state for Israel. We do what's in Israel's best interest and not in America. We are Israel first, America last, and that is a Trump policy. And then you have people who are particularly horrible, such as John Fetterman, that will do whatever they can to support Israel, even at the cost of American taxpayers and at American lives. He will let us get dragged into every war that Israel wants to bring us into. The response was one of a mixed bag among both Republicans and Democrats on Capitol Hill, interviewed by The Intercept. But Fetterman's tone was the most strident in its lack of regard. Despite its most powerful ally and arms dealer's stated preference for a two-state solution, Israel's parliament voted overwhelmingly in favor of a symbolic measure to annex the occupied West Bank on Wednesday. That's because they don't care what we say, guys, because we do everything that they say. We work for Israel, not the other way around. And Trump has made this very clear by supporting Israel as they commit horrendous acts of violence on behalf of the state. And they have leveled Gaza, and they are pretty much going into conflict with all of their neighbors that aren't doing exactly what they want. Because at this point, if you don't bow down to Israel's power, they intend to level you just like they leveled Gaza. The non-binding resolution, which was advanced by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's coalition and passed 71-13 in the Knesset, won't legally change the reality in the West Bank, but it marks an escalation in the Israeli government's efforts to annex the territory. So let's be honest about what's going on, guys. Israel doesn't care about the law. They don't care about international law. They don't care about their own law. And they really don't care about what Americans or what America has to say about their policies, because they know that they can make America do whatever they want because Trump is their client. Trump is actually going to do what's best for Israel and not what's best for the United States. And we see this as we watch the blowback from all over the world. Is Israel has completely leveled Gaza and has continued to start aggressive conflicts with all of their neighbors. All of the world is united against this Israeli occupation. There is no Israeli question about whether or not they're breaking international law. They just don't care. The only place where this is up for debate is in the American media. But the reality is, guys, that everybody knows what's going on with Israel is that Israel is doing an illegal occupation. 4 Democrats in the Senate and House who spoke to The Intercept condemned the Israeli government's vote. Others said they hadn't been following the issue. Fetterman was one of the 3 senators who told The Intercept on Thursday they were unaware of the Knesset vote. Senator Ted Cruz of Texas declined to comment. Well, of course he declined to comment, because the American people are pretty united in the idea that Israel has gone way too far and we shouldn't be using our tax dollars in order to fund them. So keep in mind, everybody who pays taxes, they take money from your pocket, hand it to Israel, and then Israel does what is in their best interests, not the interests of the United States. So you are working to alienate yourself from the rest of the world. Your tax dollars are going to make things more difficult for you on behalf of Israel. It makes absolutely no sense. That's why these people don't want to go on the record with their views, because they know the American people are sick of it. The resolution in the Knesset, or parliament, called to apply Israeli sovereignty, law, judgment, and administration to all the areas of Jewish settlements of all kind in Judea, Samaria, and the Jordan Valley. which is how most Israelis refer to the West Bank. Currently, 3 million Palestinians reside in the West Bank, alongside over 500,000 Israeli settlers who've established settlements in the occupied territory in violation of international law. So listen to this, guys. 3 million Palestinians already live there, and Israel is saying, yeah, we don't care. We are a privileged minority, and we are going to come in and we are going to tell the majority of people, you are going to live here as second-class citizens. But honestly, over time, they're going to do exactly what they did in Gaza, and they want to level the whole place and then just put their own settlers there and take over everything. We've already seen that this is how they work. But give them the benefit of a doubt. Let's say that's not what they intend to do this time, even though that's what we've seen them doing in Gaza. They literally think that they can have an apartheid state where Jewish settlers get to actually rule over the majority people who are living there in the region. It's absolute insanity. Annexation of the West Bank would be at odds with the U.S. official policy goal for 2 states, one for Palestinians in the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and the Gaza Strip, and 1 state for Israel comprising of its 1967 borders. But that's not really true, is it? Because at this point, the actions of the United States have demonstrated we are not in favor of a 2-state solution. Just like Israel, we do not care about the Palestinians living in the area. We have supported Democrats who want to just completely give Israel everything they want, and Republicans, just like Trump right now. We have no interest in peace in that area. What we want to do is use United States American taxpayer dollar resources to just give everything to Israel and blow up our relationships with the entire world in the process of doing this completely morally unacceptable action. That's what's going on here, guys. The 2-state solution has won official backing from successive presidents dating back to the late 1990s, except for Donald Trump. But that's a little bit of an overstatement, guys, because even the Democratic presidents have gone way out of their way to make sure that we're putting Israel first and we are completely messing Palestinians over. We don't care about Palestinians, and that's true for Democrats and Republicans. But it's only true for the leadership, because really the only voting bloc that's supporting Israel at this point are hardcore Republican boomers. Republicans under 40, the majority of them don't even support this because it's absolute insanity. There is a growing consensus that Israel is an apartheid state. Honestly, guys, if you don't believe that Israel is an apartheid state, you're either not educated on the situation or you just don't care about the facts. You think Israel is right by default. It's completely acceptable to have second-class citizens, but we just shouldn't call it apartheid. Making this control officially permanent would make apartheid indisputable. Both Democratic and Republican administrations have repeatedly undermined the possibility of a 2-state solution by arming Israel as it continues to attack Palestinian people and seize their territory, which lawmakers in Congress have made excuses for. Yeah, both sides of the aisle. Everybody in America is making excuses for this. As public sentiment turns against Israel, however, with voters increasingly opposing the Netanyahu government's genocide in Gaza, some members of Congress have been more willing to criticize the Israeli regime. Both Democrat and Republican administrations have repeatedly undermined the possibility of a 2-state solution by arming Israel as it continues to attack Palestinian people and seize their territory, which lawmakers in Congress have made excuses for. As public sentiment turns against Israel, however, with voters increasingly opposing the Netanyahu government's genocide in Gaza, some members of Congress have been more willing to criticize the Israeli regime. Though President Joe Biden claimed to be interested in a 2-state solution, his administration continued policies such as keeping the U.S. Embassy in occupied Jerusalem, which experts view as undermining the possibility of an independent Palestinian state that includes the West Bank. And this is the problem we have, guys. The Democrats do the exact same things. They just continue to fund the war. They continue to fund Israel. They just complain about it. The only difference is that they wait maybe a week and then they give them the arms once the story dies down and they don't get political blowback. The Republicans just don't care what you think about them arming Israel because they put Israel first. So here's the uncomfortable truth. Donald Trump is just like every other mainstream politician, Republican and Democrat. He lied about wanting peace in the Middle East, and he has no intention to have a 2-state solution whatsoever. So, everybody, that's what we have today for Uncomfortable Truths. Do me a favor, hit like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.